Okay, so we've finished our neck band into our neckline, and you can see that that's sitting nice and flat. Once that's pressed, it will sit even flatter. Um, and so the next thing that we're going on to is we're going to sew our sleeve into the right hand side armhole. So the first thing we want to do is we want to place them right sides together. So make sure that you've got the right side of your sleeve going into the right side of your garment. And this is one point where I think it's a good idea maybe to put a few pins in, just to help. So you've got your front lined up with your stitch line together, and then you've got your halfway mark, which has on the sleeve there's a notch for your shoulder, so you can match that up with your shoulder. Make sure that the seam allowance is pressed towards the back, and then you can line that up and pop a pin in there. And then at the end, just pop another pin in where the stitch line comes together at the end. And then you'll find that that's fairly easy to overlock straight in. We're going to sew it with the sleeve on top. Straight on the overlocker. So really important not to sew over pins. You can damage the blade, you'll break the needle. So take the pin out, just keep those edges together. 6mm seam allowance again, so we're not cutting anything off. Just get started, that first little section, and then you can start to work up towards the first pin at the shoulder. There shouldn't be any ease in this, so no need to stretch it. You're just sewing the sleeve into the armhole. So take your time and just make sure you keep your edges together. Otherwise you'll have to unpick and re-sew if they're not together. I'm trying not to cut anything off. It's okay if you cut 1mm, because you really need the stitching to be right on the edge of the fabric. Working our way around to the shoulder, making sure the shoulder seam is pressed towards the back. So it sometimes flicks out of the way, so it's good to check it as you go. And yeah, quite easy to do this without pins if you just, take your time and bring the edges together as you go. And then before I get to the end, I'm going to remove that pin. Okay, so that's our sleeve sewn in to our armhole. The next thing we're going to do is I'm going to take this over to the iron, and I'm going to press my hem in place, and we're going to cover stitch the hem finished before the sleeve is, before we sew the side seam. It's just easier to sew this at this stage while it's still flat.